Morning until we made sure that we could have Ireti Doyle live with us on the screen. Hello, good morning. Good to have you.
I'm fine. Good morning. How are you?
Very well,
Very well, thank you.
I'm here with Dr.
Precious,
the young man
the young man that
has
has been telling you he's crushing so much on you,
and
you
can barely
you can barely hear us, right?
Can you hear
I
me?
can barely hear you.
Oh, you can barely hear me.
Okay.
Can you
hear us now?
Yeah, there's a bit of an echo, but I will manage.
But you could
Well, you
manage.
can manage, okay?
It's good to have you.
This young man has been crushing on you so much, and he said he was going to tell everyone on live TV how much of a screen goddess you are. Dr. Precious, I will give this interview to you because I know that nothing will take you off there.
Okay, on behalf of the Association of Young Men who are so much in love with Ireti Doyle, I want to say congratulations. And happy 25 years anniversary on screen. It's amazing. And you've been of high impact. You've driven the message home. We have loved you on screen. We have stayed glued. And I must say congratulations.
Thank you very much, but I never knew that such an association existed.
I'm privileged to be the president.
He said he's the president of that group.
But
He's the president of said association.
Exactly. I must ask you first of all, how do you do this magic?
How does this magic happen? I was watching one of your clips yesterday.
I think there was a movie called 1922.
And I saw
that you were in this traditional attire, leading this women active in the traditional African setting. And I was asking myself, how does she go from the posh, sush woman in Tinsel, man, all the way to the village woman that practically is doing the person I would work with, Oremi Ajasoro kind of a character as well. How do you translate from one to the other?
Well, that's what an actor does. You go into every new project tabula rasa, meaning completely blank, and between what you create and what the director desires from you, you create this whole new character, so to speak. I don't know if it's something I can explain within a few minutes, but that's what an actor does. An actor becomes. You become a different person. You take on someone else's life. You take on someone else's experiences. You understand someone else's emotions, and you bring them to bear. Yeah.
Well, how do you drop the character then? Because when you leave one stage, you have so much embedded a lot of character and in the process of trying to put yourself in the character's shoes. How then do you drop the character and go back to normal?
With experience over the years, it's gotten a whole lot easier. Some characters will cling to you longer than others. Some suck into you deeper than others. But I actually need to decompress, which essentially means a bit of time alone, depending on how intensely I felt the emotion of the last several days or the character I've been asked to play over the last several days. Maybe just some solitude, myself in my room, listening to I have the things that I do when I want to unwind after a long day of shoot, or when I'm disengaging from a character I've played, and it's just simply being in my safe space. My safe space being my home, and sometimes reading, sometimes listening to music, sometimes just sitting down and existing in my head. It's also a period where I mark my papers, because during that time when I'm done with the production and I'm trying to unwind, essentially what's going through my head most of the time is playback of the scenes that were shot. So I'm playing back these scenes and I'm saying, oh, you could have done this better here. You could have gone deeper there. Oh, this was good. That was good. So it's like essentially you've done the exam. You've marked the papers. Tick, 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 tick. I'm happy with this. Fine. X, I'm not happy with this. Put that in your hard drive. Remember that down the line. And you pack it up and you're done with it. The scenes that I consciously get rid of, what's the word? Intentionally are scenes that have to do with grief, death, or dying. Once it's shot, it's done. In fact, I'm detaching immediately.
So you detach immediately so that it doesn't stay with you. But in the midst of all of this, yes, please go ahead.
I'm still Spotify. I'm still dazed. But I want to ask you this. You've been a legend on the screen for years. Now the question is this: what's your daily routine like?
Okay, depending on my call time, I'm a principal cast member of a daily soap, Tinsel, and we essentially shoot. They're in production every day of the week, Monday to Friday. Now, the average lead, as a lead character, you're going to work on an average of anything from 3 to 4 days a week. If we're under a lot of pressure, you might have to go all 5 days a week. So depending on my call time, if for instance, like a regular call time would be 7 a.m. in the morning, I'm up by 4. I will have a cup of coffee. I will listen to music. I will pray. I will roam around my house, have a bath, and be ready and out by like 6:30. My set is like 10 minutes away from my house in either direction. We shoot on two different locations, which is about 10-15 minutes away from my home, either direction on a given day. So I get to set 6:30, 7, a little after 7. You have breakfast if you want to. By 7:30, you're in makeup. By 8:30, you're on the floor. And we can have anything from 3 scenes to 20 scenes a day, depending on the day. And you
That's a full-time job.
I beg your pardon?
That's a full-time job.
It's a full-time job. It's a 12-hour day job, sometimes even longer when we need to sacrifice and doing the work. And that's for my day job. If I'm on a movie set, same thing applies. If I am being sequestered, which simply means that we're in camp, I would have packed my bags, packed all my creature comforts. I would go to camp, move in, set up shop. And whatever schedule is given to me at the place is what we abide by. Just generally getting the job done. When I'm not working, I'm usually in my home, hanging out with my kids, watching television, thinking of different kinds of concepts. I live in my head a lot. Reading. I have a few intimate friends I like to hang out with every now and again.
Few intimate friends.
Yes, they're all mature. They're all discreet. I'm free to be myself in their midst, and hang out with friends, take care of family, and just trying to be the best I can be within the given circumstances of our existence.
Wow. So basically, it looks as if you have, over the years, mastered the art of having a support system and a system itself that works for you.
Absolutely. Every working actor will tell you that they can't pull it off without a support system. I mean, somebody has to be here or be around you. If you have kids, for instance, you need someone that you trust enough to be with your kids and do the right thing while you're on set. Sometimes we're gone for days. I remember when I was an anchor on Today on STV at Silverbird, we would leave the house by 5. If we left the house later than 5:30, that was it. We would not make the 7 a.m. call time because we lived in Maryland and we needed to get to Lekki Jaconde, you know where Silverbird is?
Yes, I do.
Trying to get into makeup and get ready, get prepped for the day to do what you're doing. Kids at the time, they were in school. So the only way I could put it was to have someone I trusted come in before I went out to get them ready for school. I have a very small but very tight-knit network of I don't call them staff anymore. They're family. My PA, my nanny, who has been with me since my last daughter, who is turning 16, was like 3, 4, 5. These are people who have been in and around my life for well over 15 years. You know, my assistant, Victor Nwalha, you know, and a few close friends that one can depend on to be there when the chips are down. But there's no, you have to have a network of friends. You have to have a network of trustworthy people, family and friends that you know.
That you can surround yourself with.
There, absolutely. I had an assistant that was so wonderful at the time. She's doing her own thing now. Her name was Buki, who literally ran the house, you know, while I was away. And away sometimes could mean outside Lagos. Do you understand? So there's a lot of sacrifice that goes into being a professional actor. You will not always be there. You're going to miss some important occasions. I'm just hoping that the people who are in your life will love you enough to understand, you know, that it's not because you don't care, but that's just the name of the game. It's the nature of the beast. Yeah.
If you summarize 25 years in words, what would it be like? The last 25 years.
It's been an adventure and a blessing. I've had a wonderful run. I will seize this opportunity to say again that I am a recipient of grace, and my career has been designed by, you know, someone bigger than me, because let's be honest, you're not the most talented, you're not the most beautiful out there. But I look back and I say to myself, you know, you've been pretty lucky, girl. You've never been without a gig. You've never been without a good gig. You know, Grace found me. Grace made way for me. Yes, there has been a lot of hard work. I'm not going to deny that. I worked extremely hard. I put in the work. I've put in the time. I'd like to believe that I've earned my stripes. But, you know, you can only take credit for showing up. I can only take credit for showing up 150% of the time. But timing, positioning, and all of that, it's the Lord God Almighty. I can't take credit for that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let me ask this. I have been privileged to see a whole lot of you. Fantastic. My question is, with over 100 movies, which of these movies can you say, oh, just give me a name of one movie that interpreted your personality? Like you went through the script and all you could tell yourself is, this person is talking about me. So you didn't need to do so much about the character because it's your story. So if you were to pick one of your movies and say, this movie was all about me, it got into my space, which movie would that be?
First, let me tell you, I don't have 100 movies to my name. I doubt that I have 50 movies to my name. Okay, that said, which one? That's a tricky question. Let me say it this way. I've seen bits and pieces of me in different characters that I've played. Maybe not in all. Okay. The different sides of me in some of the characters I've played. But if you put a gun to my head and told me and forced me to answer that question, I would have to say it's Sheila Ade Williams of Tinson, and that's because she's so multi-layered.
I was waiting for that. You can't play that role for too long time and not make it.
Yeah, you know, you know, yes, and that's essentially because she has existed for so long. If you ask me, I would say that as an actor, that character is my swan song. She's existed for so long. We've seen her character. We've seen her in all kinds of situations: joy, grief, sadness, loss, triumph, success, anger. We've seen her betrayed. We've seen her betray people. You do understand? We've seen her strengths. We've seen her weaknesses. Sheila Ade Williams is human. Do you understand?
Yes.
As beautiful a soul as she is, she's not flawless. She has her own weaknesses. She has her own flaws. And hey, isn't that everybody?
That's everybody.
So yes,
that's everybody. Absolutely relatable.
Yes, yeah, she's relatable. Absolutely. I would say Sheila.
All right, so my whole question would be
this. When I saw that you participated in the
Vagina monologue, remember that one? It struck me. Yes, it struck me as one of the projects
of all projects that a lot of people should want to put their name on it. And I would like to ask you, what interested you about that one?
First of all, it was staged.
Yes.
Let's put
Michael Lurombi and the rest of it.
Yes. If I'm given a choice between motion picture and stage, I would choose stage every single time. Now, the first time we staged Vagina Monologues was, I hadn't been on stage for many years. Incidentally, that was a post I put on Instagram yesterday about my stage, about my experience in theater, as part of my career. My first theater production as an actor post-graduation the experience wasn't pleasant, and the pay was extremely poor. So I left, determined not never, but I have to say I turned my back on theater and said, okay, you know what, we're going to leave this alone now, and focus on some other aspects of acting. So when Nagise directed the first ever Vagina Monologues, it was produced by Kind. Kind was the executive producer. I believe, and when they approached me, we're going to do theater, I was pretty excited. And when I saw the script, it absolutely blew my mind. It was very controversial. It was timely. It had been staged. It had been read. I don't know. I stand to be corrected. I don't know if it had been staged into I don't know if it had been put into a stage play. I don't know if it had been produced into a stage play prior to us, but it had been read as monologues in different places across the world, and it was creating ripples. Women were beginning to talk, in public places and in public spaces like they hadn't in a while. You understand? So absolutely, it was a no-brainer. I knew I was going to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of it.
To be a part of it.
Absolutely. And what you must understand with the Vagina Monologues is that it was a whole lot more than just a provocative piece of art. It was one that addressed women's issues in a manner that literally grabbed you by the scruff of the neck and forced you to listen. In the middle of all this and all of that, there were some deep messages about deep issues that needed to be faced, and it's done quite well since then.
Okay, on a lighter note.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank God things have changed, but on a lighter note.
Things haven't changed completely. Let's not be casual with that. No.
Because let's say it has become more lucrative or something.
It has become a little bit better.
Yes, we can move along, but let's not trivialize it, because there's a whole lot of stuff going on out there that is mind-boggling, hurtful, and needs, frankly speaking, needs to stop. Let's move along to happier things. Okay.
So happier things. Okay.
Okay. Very quickly. This one is. I'm trying to put you on the spot right now. apart from me on screen, who would you say is your favorite actor of all time that you've been on set with?
That I've been on sets with?
Yes.
I can take that.
Male or female?
Male. Okay, male first, then maybe the female.
Let me answer.
So I know who our competition is. You know.
Let me answer you. Fortunately for me, that's why I say I'm a recipient of grace. I think in my entire career, in all the productions where I've had to act opposite a man, let me say that. In all the times I've had to act intimately opposite a man, there's only one time that I can remember that rubbed me wrong. And even as it was rubbing me wrong, I was in 100% control of what was going on. So I handled that. Barring that one experience, every male lead that I've played with has been respectful, has been gave it their best, made me feel comfortable, and together we've created magic. But if you put a gun to my head and ask me who is my favorite male lead that I've worked with in all my career, it would have to be RMD. Simply
I knew it. I just knew it. I just knew it, but I wanted to hear it from her because this is going to make headlines.
Mr. Mofe Damijo is a very generous actor. Our chemistry is great. It's always been great from day one. The first time I ever acted opposite him as his significant other was in a production by Amaka Igwe called Solitaire. And I remember the first scene we had. This was a gentleman who had light years experience. In terms of experience, he was light years ahead of me. Do you understand? So I remember the scene clearly. We were about to attend dinner with his family. Barbara Soki played his mother. I was that young, upwardly mobile lawyer who was doing well, but didn't come from a rich background. I was a bit uncomfortable. So we were supposed to make an entrance into the dining room. But before we went into the dining room, his character was reassuring me, So we went through the scene, his character reassured me, and as we made to walk into the dining room, I hesitated a little bit. My character hesitated a little bit, just to emphasize being discomfort. RMD now, not the character. RMD turned around, looked at me. There's this way his eyebrow quirks up goes up. Yes, and it was like a silent. Oh wow, you got chops? Okay, let's do this. And from then on, we went there. We went there. The point I'm trying to make is that he is a brilliant actor that will not show you up. He will meet you at whatever level you want to play. Do you understand? And that is a gentleman. Who will play in such a manner so that we look good together. We trust ourselves as actors. That goes without saying. Every time we meet opposite each other, it doesn't matter the emotion that is being required. We instinctively trust ourselves, to have each other's back and to play in a manner that we both look good. And the chemistry is great. Papa they play. Papa na actor. So, when you play opposite someone who gives great energy, who is all for the perfection of the scene, as opposed to just looking good, you're in safe hands.
What about the female? You really don't care? Are you sure it's not a recent daughter?
Who was
daughter Reina? or your PA in one of your movies?
Oh, Adesua. Let me say this also. I don't know. They say our meeting is over.
Oh, really? Running out of time.
Okay, I'm still on, so I guess I can talk.
Yes.
I've had great energy. Okay, we're running out of time.
Yes, we have 2 minutes.
Okay, I've had great energy with a cross section of female actors, both young, both in my category, Adesua, Somkele, Kate Henshaw, all the women I've ever been on stage with, because theater production is quite different from film.
Yes.
All my Tinsa characters, Beverly Naya, who plays my sister on Tinsa.
Wow, in Tinsa, yes.
And Sitai, like I said,
yeah.
An absolute privilege.
Carol
King, what's my other call, Fumi Holder, all the people that I've worked with. Maybe a better way to phrase that question would be, who doesn't give me good energy? And then I will have to go into the archives, because
I can imagine. But let's say, what do we expect from you in the next 25 years? Now you've done 25 years. Let's go.
More great work. I will continue to put out great work for as long as I'm privileged to. There are a few personal projects of mine that I'm working on. You're going to see more of that. In fact,
I look forward to those ones.
We were supposed to produce one in June, but given our current situation, and that was supposed to be a live theatre production, but given our current situation, that's not likely to happen anytime soon. So when I say we now, my team and I, we're sitting down, we're rethinking things and trying to adapt to our new reality. And as the ideas flow forth, we will bring them to fruition. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Some people that are crushing, hope you are finished crushing now, so that we can.
I have not finished until she follows me back on Instagram. Dr. Precious One. I'll be taking it up from there.
What are you taking up from there, Dr. Precious?
I'm so excited right now because do you know what it feels like to look on screen and see someone you yearn for so much, like someone you adore, and then the adoree comes to see the adorer.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And please extend my.
We're with you.
Okay, please extend my warmest regards to the members of your association.
Okay, I will. Ask the president. I will pass it across. We will always love you. We'll always support you.
Are we expecting you back on screen anytime soon on TV for a TV show?
Which one now?
No, you had okay with Rachel.
It's on. I don't know. We got back on last year. We're on channel 151 Sunday evening.
Sunday evening.
Check if it's yes. If it's and then the nature of DSTV. It debuted on 151. I'm sure that if it's still not there as at this time, I'm going to try and get that information and put it out there. It will definitely be on one of the African channels showing reruns. So yes, we did bring that back. We have short version episodes up on our YouTube channel. So if you just put in my name in the search engine, or you put
to be there.
So it's there. We have our pages on Instagram. You can follow us. So we're just making the most of the tools that we have to work with right now to keep our
right now and to do the best. Yeah. Okay. Pleasure having you, ma'am. It's been a long conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for staying real. Thank you for staying true.
I told her she did.
Black don't cry. Love you. Love you.
Do take care.
She promised last year, and I must tell everyone that is listening right now, she promised me this interview sometime in June last year. And she said, we will definitely get to it sometime. She's the only celebrity I know of that was able to keep to her word. She returned my message on Instagram called me on, and it was amazing. And I must say, kudos, thank you so much, ma'am. I do appreciate you. I now
Thank
have
you.
I'm taking up your call to say if you want to.
Stay safe, everybody. Bye. Bye.
That has been an adventurous conversation. Like, I feel elated. I feel inspired. You know, Ireti is a fantastic actor. You give her a role, she kills it. You give her a character, she gets, like, she sinks into the character as if she was created for it.
And that's the way I see Sheila Adewale, my favorite character of all time.
Yes.
It's an everyday
You know,
show.
I wanted to ask her if they're planning, I know she's listening right now, if they're taking steps to seeing how Tinsel can get on Netflix.
That would be amazing.
It's a very important step. I think they should do that.
It's an next series, and I think they can look into that as well. But we need to go. We need to go. So how do you close this morning?
I'll just say everyone should please come on now, let that go. I'll just say everyone should stay safe. If you have no business going out, please stay indoors. Avoid touching your men, your M for the mouth, E for the eyes, and N for the nose. Practice social distancing. Wash your hands frequently, and if you must go out, use hand sanitizers. And I pray that we'll overcome the war against COVID-19. Have a beautiful, beautiful weekend.
All right, I'm back again, and of course, it's been a wonderful conversation. I still look forward to much, much more on the Bumper Breakfast Show.